Stephen A., you're up first. Dan, you get to counterpunch. Stephen A., since you're the straight shooter, who's the most important Chief not named Mahomes?
Well, to me, it's Travis Kelce. I mean, to me, it's that's an easy call. I can respect anybody else that Dan's about to bring up, no doubt about it. But it comes down to Travis Kelce, my brother from another mother. This dude, 110 receptions, 1,338 yards this season, 7 consecutive 1,000-plus yard seasons as a tight end. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to start talking about Travis Kelce in a different light. Not only is he the best tight end in football, he is a Hall of Famer right now. There's nothing to debate. This dude is a Hall of Famer. Patrick Mahomes will be wearing, what I'm talking about, Travis Kelce will be wearing a gold jacket one day for the Hall of Fame. There is no doubt about it. And he's just thriving. And he's obviously a primary target for Patrick Mahomes, particularly with the exodus of Tyreek Hill. Look at yet last week's game against Jacksonville, Dan. 14 receptions for 98 yards, 17 targets. Well, the next person in line was Juju Smith-Schuster with 2 receptions for 29 yards. We got to understand how reliable this dude is. He is the modern-day version of Rob Gronkowski for Patrick Mahomes, for Tom Brady's Patrick Mahomes. This is his reliable weapon. This is his go-to guy. This is his safety valve. And so for me, I understand that obviously everybody's going to try to key on Travis Kelce. Well, guess what? They've been trying to do it all year. Guess what? They've been trying to do it for the last 7 years. Guess what? It never works. It just doesn't, because somehow, some way, he finds a way to get it done. And I think that in this particular game, a game of this magnitude, I'm not saying that he'll be the only reason. Of course not. But in order for the Kansas City Chiefs to advance to the Super Bowl, Travis Kelce is going to have to be that dude that leads the way, even if it is as a decoy. You're going to have to utilize him. As he goes with Patrick Mahomes, so goes the Kansas City Chiefs.
I was with you till that last comment. I agree on everything that you said about Travis Kelce. Stephen A., there was times last week Jacksonville actually doubled him, and it didn't matter. He beat the double team. He's such a good player. He looks like he's 25, 26 years old again, and I think, agree, Hall of Famer.
That's right.
One of the best ever at that position, and I love the correlation Gronk when it comes to how much he matters to the quarterback. I say Isaiah Pacheco, and I felt Isaiah Pacheco before the injury. I honestly felt like Pacheco was the most important person in this game, even if you included the quarterbacks. Here's why. Okay, so Cincinnati's defense is one of the best curveball defenses we have in the league. Like, one of the best. We're going to do exactly what you don't think us to do. We're going to make you play left-handed. We're going to force you to play kind of your B and or C game to beat us. They're going to do everything they can to make sure that Patrick and Travis Kelce are minimized. The reason I say Pacheco is this. For as great as that Cincinnati defense is, and as much as I love them and their defensive coordinator, Lou Anarumo, they have a weakness. And when you put 12 personnel or 13 personnel on the field, meaning 1 back and 2 tight ends, or 1 back or 3 tight ends, they're one of the worst defenses in the NFL. And Kansas City just so happens to be that offense. Kansas City and that's the difference this year in comparison to last year when they got rid of Tyreek. If you go back to early Eagles days with Andy Reid, he had multiple tight ends on the field. I expect Kansas City to live in 12 and 13 personnel, put those tight ends on the field, and just be crazy disciplined running the football. In the last 10 postseason games, which is, this is going to be mind-boggling to everybody. In the last, 10 postseason games, the Kansas City Chiefs have gone over 100 yards rushing in all 10 of them. That's an NFL record in the history of the NFL. We only think Kansas City and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid is like Patrick and nobody else. This is a team that when they get into the playoffs, they want to be able to do it. They couldn't in the second half last year. They did a little bit in the regular season this year. Will they do it in a win or go home game? If Pacheco, like, here's my thing with Stephen A. with your last comment when you said if Kelce doesn't have a great game, you don't think they could win. I disagree with that. I think if Pacheco goes over 100 yards, the Kansas City Chiefs win this football game because that's the style that they want to play in this week. That's the style that they need to play in this week.
Well, here's where I would tell you something. I would remind you that, when you're talking about Andy Reid and he used a couple of tight ends, remember, there was a little dude in Philadelphia covering the team at that particular moment in time. It would happen to be moi. And I remember when they had guys like Todd Pinkston and James Thrash and Freddie Mitchell. Yeah, you had Brian Westbrook running out of the backfield. Please don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, this is prior to the arrival of Terrell Owens. And so when you take that into consideration, I would tell you, you just made my point, because that's not necessarily what they have to utilize in Kansas City in this day and age with that same great coach that is Andy Reid, because you got one dude in Travis Kelce that plays like he's two damn tight ends, for crying out loud, because that's how gifted he is. And I'm saying to you, because of the profound impact that he's capable of having on the game, I think he frees up a guy like Pacheco. I think he frees up things for opportunities for the Juju Smith-Schusters and the McCole Hardmans of the world and the Noah Brown and Noahs and all of these guys. I think he frees things up for them, and I don't think that can be ignored.
No, I don't want to minimize Kelce's impact. But if you're the Cincinnati Bengals and you go into this game and you go, how do we lose this game? How defensively, how do we lose this game? I think you sit there and say, well, we lose this game if we allow Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes to go off and do what they want to do. Well, we're going to take them away. That's what they do. They play that three-man front or rush three guys. They'll play 8 guys in coverage. They'll play man coverage. They'll double Kelce inside out. Kansas City's got to make them pay for that. And I don't think that they felt that they were capable of doing it last year, a little bit because of the offensive line and probably because of the back. This year, because of Pacheco's running style, the violence, I've said this, he reminds me of the late, great Marion Barber, rest in peace. Every run, he wants to kind of impart physicality on you. They just need him to kind of take that 18 to 20 to 25 carry game, get 110 yards, 5 yards a clip, because then they control the football game. That's what Kansas City has to do in this game offensively, is try to control it. They can't do it unless Pacheco is efficient.
When the 49ers take on Philly, the Eagles' defense ranks first in opponent yards per game and second in defensive efficiency, while the 49ers rank third in offensive efficiency and fourth in points per game. Hope you got that. Dan, who has the advantage on Sunday Fun Day? Would you go with the Niners' offense, our former NFL quarterback, or Philly's D when they say defense wins championships?
Yeah, I'm going to go San Francisco's offense. And right now my wife is probably folding socks, throwing something at the television. We're actually going to the game on Sunday. We're taking our family, our kids. We're going to go, so I'm probably going to get spit on or booed in the parking lot tailgate for this answer as well.
Hold it.
Spit on? That's dramatic.
Hold it.
What?
Did you pay for the tickets or did you get them for free?
No, I paid for the tickets, yes. I paid for the tickets. But not
What?
Yeah, I paid for, but we got helped out, so to speak. So yeah.
Go ahead.
You want to know the truth, Stephen A? So we're driving down. We live in Connecticut, right? We're driving down, and we got her family's gonna come down and tailgate with us. Her cousins. We got to get a parking pass. So I'm sitting there last night. I'm trying to find a parking pass for the lot. Dude, the parking pass is like $300.
Oh my gosh.
And so I sent out a text to some people.
And
$300 to park?
Dan.
yes.
Dan,
No.
I have
Championship
a
game,
question.
yes.
No.
Dan, when you go to games in the movie theater, do you actually let your kids buy stuff, or do you do what my parents made me do, and we'd like go to the gas station first and hide it in our pockets?
Nah, because I try to be a rule follower, so my kids understand that that is a real part of life. I have snuck stuff into the movie theater before, but no, I let them. We share it, Miles. Like, you ain't getting a whole bucket of popcorn yourself. You're not gonna eat it. We're gonna waste it. This is why I'm saying San Francisco's offense, because I want to answer the question. Stephen A., I'm not paying $300 to park. That's outrageous. I'll pay someone $100 to park for me and get down there early. As much as I love Philadelphia's defense, and as great as they are, and their front and the sacks that they've had this year and their corners and coverage, I think there's 2 areas of weakness in that defense. Number one, how their defensive players set the edge in their run game. I think you can get the ball to the perimeter in the run game. They're pass rushers. They want to be pass rushers on the edge, obviously 70-plus sacks. And then the second thing is how they defend the middle of the field in their pass game. I've talked about that all year. Ryan Clark and I have mentioned that and displayed that multiple times. That just so happens to be San Francisco's strength offensively. San Francisco is an offense that wants to get the ball on the edges. They want to run the football to the outside, and they want to allow their quarterback to throw in between the hashes or in between the numbers. That's where the lesser defenders are when it comes to coverage. And so if you look at what San Francisco wants to do and what they're capable of doing, it plays into what Philly's defense is weakness-wise. Now, I would imagine Philly's going to do the same stuff that Dallas did defensively against this San Francisco 49ers offense and play a ton of man coverage, which obviously has its kind of caveats to it. But San Francisco's offense, man, is built to at least try to attack Philly's defense.
Here's where I'm coming from with this. I'm going to go with Philly's defense for this particular question because they're at Lincoln Financial Field. I think they could get to the quarterback. I'm looking at Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, and these brothers, and I'm like, they can get to Purdy. Now, you're going to get rid of the ball if you're Kyle Shanahan, and I get that. And the Philadelphia Eagles are like 16th against the rush, number 1 against the pass. They're not an easy team to throw the ball on. I would feel a lot more confident about the San Francisco 49ers offense if they had a deep threat. I mean, I know what Deebo Samuels can do. We know that Christian McCaffrey is terrific. We get the combination of those two along with George Kittle, who has reemerged as a big-time tight end threat. We get all of that. But I do think that you have to force the secondary to be a bit honest to some degree. And the fact that you're not that big of a threat in terms of having a game breaker on the outside as a wideout. I know Ayuk can ball. I get that. I understand that. But the combination of Purdy with him throwing the long ball, I think the absence of that congests the Eagles' defense or allows them to do so to a little bit more degree. And since they know what San Francisco is going to try to do, how they're going to try to beat them in that regard, keying on Deebo Samuels, keying on Christian McCaffrey, all I'm going to say to you is that I don't believe that San Francisco is going to be able to do what it's accustomed to doing in order to beating the Eagles. It's going to have to be an aberration or a deviation from the norm to some degree in order for them to pull it off. They're not going to beat the Eagles doing what they're accustomed to doing with everybody else. I think the Eagles are too complete to let that happen.
I think another big thing in this offense, San Francisco-wise, and Philly's defense-wise, is how Philly tackles. And I know that's like a simple thing to say, mainly like their second-level tackles, because if we look at Brock Purdy as the starting quarterback of San Francisco, I think he's thrown for like 1,644 yards. Out of that, 847 of them are after the catch. So more than 50% of his passing yards, he's become the starter, is after the catch. And if we all just imagine, close our eyes and think about what this offense is, it's catch and throw the ball. Deebo Samuel to the perimeter, McCaffrey to the perimeter, Kittle with perimeter screens. They're going to have to tackle really well. And that's something that, unless you're doing it consistently, in practice in January or whatnot, it could bite you. And this is the best yards after catch offense in the NFL. So not only like the schematics of it and how they defend the middle of the field, and they're going to have to tackle really well on the edges, because if they don't, and if they take bad angles or whatnot, those guys will run right by you and or through you. And all of a sudden, Brock Purdy's 9 of 9 for 200 yards, and he hasn't thrown the ball 10 yards downfield.
Yeah, I got you. I understand.
All right, Dan, you get to take a quick break, help your wife fold some socks. And Jay Will's going to tap in and talk
Molly,
about
I'm 39
NBA.
years old. I think one of the greatest questions I have in my life is, where do all my socks go? Like, where do all my socks? I have no idea where my socks go.
Well, help her do something.
What do you mean, where
help
your
her do
socks
something.
go?
Be you. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.